Hello, and thanks for joining us today on Intermountain Medical Center TV. We've got a great program lined up for you here today. We have two great people here. We've got Meagan Kline, an exercise therapist here at the Intermountain Medical Center in the Heart Institute, and then Sharee Rosqvist, West Jordan firefighter. So our program today is going to get into the ease of exercise, so finding different things that can break up your exercise routine. So as part of the My Heart Challenge, Meagan has been working with the 15 firefighters throughout the Salt Lake Valley who have been working for nearly 100 days. The challenge is almost over. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with the firefighters.
My job has been working as the exercise therapist through with them. So we began by just incorporating some basic exercise into their routine. A lot of them hadn't been exercising consistently. So that was the first goal, and now we've started doing some more circuit training and more explosive movements to get them prepared for their jobs, because they have lots of requirements that they need to do for their jobs that are pretty laborious, and so we need to train them so that they're able to do that with more ease.
Okay. It sounds like a lot of what you've been working with them can apply to anybody, so it's not just firefighters.
Not
so
just
that's kind of what we're going to get
firefighters.
into today.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then Sharee, tell us a little bit about how the challenge has been going for you, approaching kind of that final week. How have things been going?
Things have been going a lot better now than they were at the beginning. It's really hard to get started, but as long as you know to take the slow steps and consistency, and that was the biggest thing, was that that Meagan and I talked about, was consistently working out, consistently doing strength training, and now it's a consistent process for me, and building on that is what's been helping me make it through the last couple weeks.
Okay, great. Well, we look forward to seeing what you do here today, right? Good thing it's at the end of the challenge and not the beginning.
Good thing.
Good thing. Okay, so two things before we get started, though. We want to invite everybody to ask their questions. We have a phone number set up, so 801-507-2807. If you call into that, we'll go ahead and take your questions for Meagan and Sharee. So you can ask them things about your exercise routine, what may or may not be going well for you, some advice. They're going to offer a lot of advice today, but if you do have specific questions, go ahead and call into that. You can also post it to Intermountain Medical Center's Facebook page. Post your question there. We'll monitor that and ask them as well. The second point is, if you'd like to get future updates or emails notifying you of when we're doing these webcasts, on the page that you're watching this on right now, on the right-hand side, there's a button. You can click on that. It'll walk you through sign-up so you can get future email notifications. And with that, we're going to take a short break, go to a video that Meagan produced earlier in the My Heart Challenge talking about interval training. And when we come back, we'll turn it over to Meagan and Sharee to show us how it's done.
Today we're talking about some interval training that you can do with any cardiovascular exercise you're doing. Now this can be done on a treadmill or a bike or an elliptical, any kind of cardiovascular exercise that you have. It can also be done while you're walking outside in your neighborhood. So with these intervals, the main idea is that we're increasing the intensity for short bouts throughout the exercise routine, and then you allow yourself to recover. So I'm going to demonstrate on the treadmill. We want you to start at a moderate, comfortable pace. Now, as you warm up, the warm-up will take 3 to 5 minutes. And this will be a consistent pace that you're going at. Once you get to a comfortable pace, we want you to be able to increase those intensities, increase those exercise bouts. So as you begin, the exercise bout will last anywhere between 15 and 30 minutes. The intervals will start only about 30 seconds. So you're working hard enough through those 30 seconds that at the end you're ready to recover, and your recovery pace will be 2 to 3 minutes. So, for example, your intensity can be increased either by raising the grade, walking up a hill, or adding intensity on the bike, adding resistance on the elliptical, or by speeding things up, walking faster in your neighborhood, or increasing the cadence on your bike. So for example, we'll take the grade up. I'm taking it up to a 5% incline. You can do that. You can go higher or lower depending on your abilities. We keep it here for 30 seconds, and then you bring it back down until you're completely recovered. As you get used to working in intensities and intervals, you can increase the length of your interval and decrease the length of your recovery. And again, you can increase that intensity by either speed or resistance. And always make sure to get in a cool down. Again, 3 to 5 minutes for your cool down. The warm up and cool down are necessary, and they're really important for your muscles. For more exercise and nutrition tips, go ahead and visit myheartchallenge.com. All right, welcome back. So today we're going to run through a circuit, and that's what we've been talking about with Sharee. We've been talking about that with many of our firefighters, is building circuits, building different high intensity exercises into an exercise routine to get the benefits of that high intensity exercise throughout. One thing that we talked about with Sharee once we were beginning was setting small attainable goals. And one thing with Sharee was that we were setting a goal of exercising for a consistent amount of time for 30 minutes, and that was that first goal that we set at the beginning. Yeah. But we don't get 0 to 30 minutes immediately, and so you want to set those goals to get 15 minutes at a time or to build up throughout the day. We talked about as long as it's 10 minutes, it adds up throughout the day. So different things like that. Set those small goals so that you're not going to set that goal of running a 5K without doing all the lead up work to it. So that's one really important aspect of beginning an exercise program. The second thing we talked about was setting FIT programs. It's an acronym for frequency, intensity, time, and type. Frequency, our goal was during the challenge, it's been to try and get 5 days of exercise a week. Intensity, that's what we talked about with our circuit training, was getting more of the benefits of that higher intensity. Time, so our goal, again, is 30 minutes, and type. And type is the type of exercise you're doing, whether it's strength training, whether it's cardio. We want you to take into account the amount of time you have for the day, or plan out your week of exercise times throughout the week and see what you have available. We want this to become a lifestyle thing. We want it to be manageable, and so that's what we've been working on. And with firefighters, you guys have very different schedules than a lot of us who go to work from 9 to 5 and then get to go home.
But if you have a time set aside, that it's kind of like an appointment. If you have time set aside to work out, then that is what is set aside. Nothing interrupts in that. I mean, again, with work, something comes in, but you always work that in.
Yeah. So that was one challenge that we had to work with. When you're on for 48 hours, you don't know what you're getting through those 48 hours, where my job is a lot more flexible or something. I can make my own agendas. So let's run through like a circuit that we've been doing and that we've been altering for different things. So I'm going to give you these resistance bands. We're going to do this upper body circuit with resistance bands, but you can do the same thing with hand weights at home. And then stretching is kind of a preference thing. Many people stretch before or after or both. And the evidence is still a bit inconclusive at the moment, so stretching is generally a preference thing. So if you're going to stretch at the beginning of an exercise routine, we want you to stretch warm muscles. So at least get in a little bit of a warm-up, so those muscles are a little bit warmed up, and then we can start stretching from there. So with this upper body circuit, this was one that we've gone through in the past, but we want to make sure that you're exercising the front and the back of your muscles at a time. So a lot of people, that's a new concept, exercising front and back of the muscles. So you can put the band under your feet, and then I want you to demonstrate just a basic bicep curl. So this is a bicep curl with your hands facing out. It's working the front of the upper arm. So with all of these exercises, we want you getting in about 8 to 10 exercises per circuit routine. And then 8 to 12 reps, 2 to 3 sets. So that's been the goal for you guys throughout. So there's our bicep. Then we move on to the back arm, our tricep muscles on the back. So I want you to do a tricep extension. Perfect. So you'll notice that Sharee's elbows are straight and they're close in against her head. We don't want your elbows going out to the side. So this is isolating that tricep muscle along the back of your arm. And we're just demonstrating a short circuit, so we're not doing as many sets, as many reps. Great. From here, we want to take it into a shoulder press. So elbows are not going lower than your shoulders as you push straight up into the sky. So this will get your shoulders, and we will just be doing a few exercises here, but if you're just working on upper body, just working on arms for the day, like I said, you want to get about 8 to 10 exercises. Okay. And then let's do a lateral raise. Your hands out to the side. So resistance bands are also an easy thing that you can have at home and make lots of adjustments with. So with the resistance bands, I want you to take a step further apart. By increasing your step or your gait, it can increase the intensity on the resistance band. Now we can do lots of upper body. Any exercise that you can generally do with hand weights, you can do with resistance bands. Do you guys have resistance bands at the
We have
station?
a few. We have a few.
Okay.
So everybody can do what they feel.
And resistance bands are a really easy thing to take on vacation. So that comes into play. If I go on vacation, if I don't have time to exercise, I don't have the right equipment, and this leaves you no escape. So you can pack these. They don't take any space, hardly at all. And there we go. What are some upper body exercises that you've been doing? And you've been doing some CrossFit type workouts at the station as well. Is that right?
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it's incorporating the upper and lower body, and so I'll do a squat and then a shoulder press. So I'll do a squat and then a shoulder press, and so I'm getting all that in, or a lunge and a bicep curl. So all of it works in together. But everything that Megan's been talking to me about, I've been working on every week and just getting stronger and better, being able to do a lot more.
Yeah, and with Sharee, we've also talked about, because we've been doing this almost 3 months. So the first month was kind of 0 to 60, get going. That second month, you did more of these multi-muscle exercises, more of the CrossFit, more of the big muscle groups. And then we talked a few weeks ago about going back to kind of that traditional weight training. So getting back and isolating some of the muscles more, doing just a squat or just a bicep curl. And we were just talking about that's what you need to do in order to progress. So right now we're in maintenance, and with maintenance, it's all about changing things up. You can't do the same exercises that we've done for these 100 days.
And it also keeps it from getting boring.
It keeps it from getting boring because you can only do these exercises for so long. So, but that's what we want you to be able to do. And at day 110, we want you to, try a new exercise or go to a new CrossFit gym or try cycling, something like that, so that it is changing, it is building new muscle memory, it is changing up the routine.
Exactly.
So, okay, so that's an example of an upper body circuit. And then we have an agility ladder back here. An agility ladder is also an easy thing that we can have at our homes or at the gym, or you can take it to the park. Do you do cardio sets in between your weights?
Yes, I'll do a weight circuit, and then within like 30 seconds of all-out running or something.
Okay. So, and with cardio, it can be, if you have cardio equipment, it can be something along the lines of riding a bike or going on a treadmill or something like that. If you don't have the time, then you can do some more plyometric exercises. So you can do jumping jacks, you can do an agility ladder, you can do mountain climbers, you can do things like that. Before we get going here, I just want to remind those of you, if you have any questions throughout this webcast, go ahead and give us a call. Our number here is 801-507-2807. So go ahead and call us if you have any questions or have any suggestions, any tips that you can give us as well. So with this agility ladder, we're going to do a basic one. I just want you to run with 1 foot in every square. And this can you can also incorporate this into a warm-up or a cool-down. So you can adjust the speed, and now I want you to do it as fast as you can with both feet. And a lot of sports drills incorporate this ladder as well. We'll do more of our lateral exercises. So I want you to stand on the side of the ladder. Yep, so face out. And then 1 foot will go in. Yep, in both feet. Yep. Now, if you're going side to side, we want you to be able to work both sides of your legs. So rather than turning around, I want you to stop right there. Perfect. And then come towards me to work that right side of your body. Good. So you can get, do you feel?
Yeah.
You warming up?
Yeah, I'm warming up.
Warming up. And then for this last one, I want you to jump going forward in 2 feet in every box. There you go. And you can make variations on all of these exercises. You can make them more difficult, you can make them more easy. So this is a good thing to incorporate into kind of your routine. All right, so we are gonna go into a lower body circuit. So we were talking about doing squats earlier. And we, on the Intermountain Wellness blog, we have a video on squats, how to perform them correctly. It's an exercise that if you're doing them correctly, can be very beneficial, but a lot of us don't know how to do it correctly. So we're just gonna run through how to do a squat correctly really quick. And this was something that we talked about quite a bit as we were moving into strength training. So with a squat, the primary thing is that we don't want your knees going over your toes. So that is the incorrect way. So as you're doing a squat, we want your feet about hip width apart, and we want you to feel as if you are sitting back in a chair. So as you're sitting back, your hips go back and your knees go right. Perfect. There you go. Good. And I want you to stand sideways and just notice her knees right here. So we don't want them going over her toes. There we go. In the beginning, when you're starting squats, you can stop. When you're starting squats, it may be easier to set a bench or a chair behind you, something that gives you a vantage point to start training those muscles to move backwards versus down. We really want to protect the knees throughout this exercise. And then once you're comfortable with doing body weight squats, you can add weights. You can add hand weights. You can add a bar overhead. You can do a lot of different things, but we really need that base work set before we start moving forward on that. So with squats, we do the traditional squats. So we'll have you do a few of those. You may notice with regular squats that they become easy, faster. So with squats, you can increase the number of reps you do. So rather than the standard 8 to 12 squats, you can move closer up to 15 and 20. And then another variation on a squat is a plie squat. So on this exercise, your feet are going to go out towards the corners of the room, and your knees will go out towards the side. There you go. So same thing here. Her knees aren't going over her toes. So you want to make sure that your step is wide enough that you're not compromising those knees. But this does work some different muscles. So those are two variations, on squats that you can do. Calf raises are another exercise that you can do. And they can be basic from the ground up. If we had a box or a step or something, we did that at your station. You're allowed to get more range of motion. So you would do this, you would drop your heels all the way off the box, all the way off the step, and go up from there. Have you noticed any shin tightness with doing any of your calf exercises?
Nothing with the shins. I like to focus on stretching after, because I have had shin splints in the past and I don't like them. No. So as you start working into an exercise program, shin splints can sometimes be a pretty nasty side effect of those. So if you notice that you start, after you do calf raises or you start doing things like that, you start noticing that traditional shin splint pain, try strengthening the shin. So allow the inflammation to go down. And then what we've talked about is by tapping your toes, doing things that just isolate your shin, writing the alphabet with your feet. So A and B and C. Not only does it bring movement into the ankle joint, but it also allows strengthening into that shin. So that is another thing that we've been watching for as we've gone kind of 0 to 60 in these first 100 days is injury prevention. Yes.
Injuries aren't going to help you maintain your exercise routine. They're not going to encourage you to exercise. And so that's one thing that we've been pretty cautious that goes back to setting those tiny goals. So we're not running a 5K the next week or doing drastic things like that. We just want to build on the progress that we're making. Another multi-muscle exercise, and we notice that with a lot of these lower body exercises, they are body weight, they are multi-muscle. We can do quad extensions and some hamstring curls and other exercises like that are good for the muscles and that strengthen, but they are a bit more, they isolate the muscle a bit more.
Yeah.
So we're going to demonstrate lunges as well. So with lunges, again, it's the same thing. We want to protect the knee. So you take a wide stance, and I want the exercise to be down. So you're bending that left knee. Exactly. You're going straight to the ground versus moving forward in space. And a lot of people with knee pain, this is kind of a tricky exercise. So if this bothers your knees, then there's other exercises that we can do to take the place of this.
Well, and with what I've learned, especially with the injuries and working your way up, you don't have to go all the way down. You can go down as far as you can, and then the next week you can go down a little bit further, and then you're able to do the full extension, and then you can start adding the weights.
Exactly. Yep. So it's all that progression. Now with lunges, you can do stable lunges, like Sharee's doing right now, where you find your position and you stay there. We can also do walking lunges. Exactly. So you change position every time. You can also choose a hallway or a space in the gym and do walking lunges back and forth. These are a bit more difficult. You tend to lose your form easier with walking lunges and moving lunges like this. So it is important to always, once the form is gone, the integrity of the exercise has been lost. So that's one thing that we really need to watch. Okay. Any questions about any of those? Nope.
Good workout.
Good workout. All right, and then we're going to do some stretching. Stretching is something that a lot of people kind of miss out on. And with the injury prevention, we've been talking about stretching. With a stretch, in order for it to be effective at all, we have to hold it for at least 30 seconds. I think that's kind of the downfall of our stretching, is that we don't allow enough time for the muscle to relax. We don't get the benefits. So if you're going to put the time into stretching, then get the benefits out of it and give it an extra 10 seconds, an extra 20 seconds. So we'll just stretch the muscles that we worked today. So going back to that upper body circuit, stretching the bicep, you can just take your hand out and pull your fingers back towards you. Good. With stretching the muscle, anything that we do to increase and decrease the tension of the muscle, we want to stretch that out. So we're lengthening the muscle at this point, where when we're doing the bicep curl, the muscle is actually shortening. So there's the bicep stretch with your tricep extension. Good. So she's just pulling her elbow in closer to her back. And then she'll feel this stretch all the way down her arm with your hand reaching down. Good. And then our lateral raise. So you can pull your hands behind you and pull those hands down towards your hips. Good. And this will open up your chest as well, your chest up into the front of the shoulders. Good. Okay. And then this, when you pull, I want you to bring a hand behind you and reach down towards the floor. So like, good. So this can pull with those upright press that we're doing. Pulling down on the shoulder is going to help with that. So the stretching is going to be really important. With the cardio, we want you to do cardio generally after strength training. During strength training, it increases the inner pressure within your system. So doing the cardio afterwards is actually going to allow your vessels and your heart and your lungs to relax afterwards. So even if it's a 5-minute cool down, that's going to be just as important as doing a full session of cardio afterwards.
Yeah.
We do have a question from Jack in Bountiful. He writes, what's the right amount of cardio versus weights? With ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine, the goal for heart-healthy cardio is 30 minutes on most days of the week. With that cardio, it's anything that elevates your heart rate and allows you to keep it maintained. So it's walking, it's riding a bike, it's doing more aerobic type exercises, Zumba, cycling, anything like that that's going to allow your heart rate to stay elevated for the full 30 minutes. Again, that's just for heart health. So if we're looking to burn more calories, lose more weight, you're looking at higher amounts of cardio, closer to 60 to 90 minutes on a few days of the week. With the challenge, we've been focusing on 5 days a week of at least 30 minutes. So that has been the goal with cardio. With strength training, it is dependent on how you're doing your strength training. If you're doing a full body strength circuit, every time you're exercising, 2 to 3 days should be sufficient. With Sharee, she's been breaking it up and doing smaller portions of muscles on more days of the week. So if that is something that fits into your schedule a little better, then you're getting close to 5 to 6 days a week of strength training. So it's just, strength is more of a preference, but we want you to do 8 to 10 exercises per session. And then with those exercises, you're doing 8 to 12 reps, 2 to 3 sets. So a set is 8 to 12 repetitions. So I hope that answers your question. If you have any more questions, go ahead and give us a call. Our number here is 801-507-2807. We only have a few minutes left, so if you have any questions, get those in. We'll finish with our stretching the lower body exercises. So I'll have you lay down on this mat. That there. So with lower body exercise, it can sometimes be easier to start your stretches on the ground. So keeping your knees bent, I want you to raise one leg up to the sky. So this is just helping to allow stretching down the back of her legs. So with the hamstrings, with the calves, this is going to help with this. Again, 30 seconds at least for these stretches. Now I want you to bend this knee over, or bend that foot over that knee. Good. So if you feel the stretch here, then leave it there. Again, stretching we don't want to be painful. Stretching we want to stretch the muscle, allow for more movement, but not be painful. If you can deepen the stretch like Sharee's doing right now, then you'll get more of those benefits, but you won't get any of the benefits if it's hurting you or if it's painful. So this is a hip opener that's going to be really helpful as she's doing some of those squats and those lunges. 30 seconds, and you'll be doing these on both legs. So also take that into account. If you're doing stretches on one side of your body, we want you to do them on the other side of the body as well. Okay? And then I want you to lower both legs. And I want you to bring the heels of your feet together. The balls, your feet. There you go. So this is another hip opener that can be really helpful as you're doing more of those exercises that are kind of straight. If you're walking, if you're cycling, things like that. And breathing is also going to be important while you're stretching. Okay, I want you to roll over onto your belly and we'll stretch the calves.
Just do a dog.
Like on all fours. Sorry, on your knees. So she is going to stretch the calves out. She's going to stretch one foot back and push her heel to the ground. So as close as she can get to the ground, that can help stretch out your calf. And then we'll switch legs. Yep. Again, we're doing this for the sake of time, but 30 seconds for all of these. Okay. And as you're doing more, if you're into more sports training, you can just sit back. As you're doing more sports training, cross training is going to be really important. So we want you to take that into account too as you're building your exercise, as you're building the amount of exercise that you're doing. If you're running, try swimming. If you're into cycling, start hiking. Things like that can help a lot. Any questions for me? Any comments for our viewers?
Start slow and keep building on yourself. Don't compete against anybody but yourself.
I think that's really important as well, is making progress and charting it for yourself and for the future. So we just want to thank you for joining us today, and be sure to follow us at myheartchallenge.com for more details and to see who wins the My Heart Challenge. Maybe Sharee. Thanks.